To begin creating your own Photoshop mockup, let's start off by looking at some of the simple tools that it takes in order to transform layers. In this case, I've got my artwork on one layer. You can see it in my layers panel. So here's the design. And on my background is the actual image that I want to place this design into. In my case, I want to take this design and put it inside of this mock-up of a building sign. The first thing we need to do, once you import your artwork, is to turn the artwork layer into a smart object layer. So now that I've got it placed in here, it's just a regular old layer. To turn it into a smart object, you can go up to your layer options and choose Convert to Smart Object. This will add a little icon to it, and now this is an object that has a saved version, saved elsewhere. The next thing we need to do is to put it into perspective. Obviously, this isn't the right size or dimensions to it. So to warp this into perspective, select your artwork, go up to Edit, down to Transform, and you can see there's a variety of different ways we can transform this. Scaling it, rotating it, skewing, distortion. There's even one called Perspective, but I'll give you a fair warning. I don't like to use this one. With perspective, this allows you to click on the edges and you can see how it will warp it into perspective, but it doesn't really do a good job for the photographs that we want to do. So instead of using that one, go up to Edit, down to Transform, and use Distort. With Distort, this will allow you to click on any of the corners and place your corners right where they need to be. In this case, all I need to do is to line up my corners to the edge of this particular part, and you can see how it automatically matches the appropriate perspective for this type of building. When I hit return, it locks it in and everything looks good. Now if I zoom in and I see that it may be off by a little bit, that's okay. Simply go back up to Edit and Transform, choose Distort again, and this will place it or allow you to place it right where you want it to be. If you find that it's off by just a little bit, or you can't get one little pixel to be in place, that's okay too. The whole purpose of a mock-up is to get as close as possible to show you what it would look like. Also keep in mind, because we saved this as a smart object, at any time you can double click on this, open up your original design, and make any modifications to it, and it will automatically update to your final design. Let's have another look at a different one. In this case, I've got a billboard. It's also in perspective, and I've got some artwork that I want to put inside of it. But this billboard doesn't have sharp edges. It's got a nice rounded corner to it. So I need to be able to eat away and block out or mask out those edges so that it fits nicely inside of there. Let's take the distortion thing first. So I've selected my artwork. We'll go to my layer, convert it to a smart object. Next, we can go up to Edit, Transform, and choose Distort. And this will allow us to put it right here at the top. Now, it's hard to see right where that is, so the next thing I may do is drop the opacity of this layer. With it still selected, I can bring this down by about 50 or so %, and now I can see where those edges are. And I'm going to get as close as I can to where it's lining up. I'm looking at that edge, try to line it up as close as I can. Let's do the same for this other side. Choosing the top corner, getting it to line up there, and the bottom corner until it fits nicely over that edge. As long as it's completely covered up, now it's nice and in perspective and covering the entire area. I can bring up my opacity again and hit return. Now that it's in perspective, we need to further refine it by creating a layer mask. In order to mask off this area, I'm going to turn off visibility for my artwork just for now. Choose your background area, and we need to select just the white of this billboard. To do that, I'm going to choose my selection tool. In this case, I think the quick selection or the magic wand will give you the best results. With quick select, all I have to do is click and drag inside of here until all of the edges you see are nice and selected inside of the white. Now comes the fun part. If I return to my artwork layer and select it, whenever you have a selection of an area, you can go down to your Create a Layer Mask, and it will automatically add a layer mask with the area selected filled in. Notice the edges now have a nice rounded corner that matches the photograph that we have. So very quickly and easily, this looks nice and in perspective, and it looks appropriate. A final way we can do this is for a artwork that may not be on a flat surface. In this case, I've got this artwork that needs to wrap around the curvature of the blimp. So again, we'll go to our layers, select our artwork, and turn it into a smart object. Next, we can take it, scale it down. We'll go up to Edit and Transform. Let's put it into perspective. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to give me a good sense of what it would look like if it was nice and in perspective. And then finally, we need to make this look like it's bulging and moving along the contours of a non-flat surface. To do this, we'll go up to Edit, Transform, and let's use Warp. With Warp, this will give you some extra little handles that allow you to bend your design. And I can use the contours and the lines that are on this blimp kind of as a guideline. Do it for both of the edges. You can even do it at the top if you want it to bend out this way. So it really depends on the kind of surface that you have and the kind of warping or distortion you need in order to give it that kind of look and feel. At any time, if you need to make changes, you can always go back and redo your warp or your transformation until you feel like it looks close to perfect. Once these are finished, in order to save them and maintain the ability to change your artwork and put more stuff inside of it, make sure you're saving your file as a Photoshop document. With the Photoshop format, this will save all of your layers, and then later on you can go back and place or modify anything that you've done.